taken away, so ROCCAT is going to go. Very similar to game 1, which means Elise from ROCCAT. Then we go Rengar, Shen, but I think that Shen ban will change to a Zac, and G2 might change their Rengar to a Kalista.
Ooh, the Zac, they banned themselves, actually. I wonder what G2 are thinking on that one. Okay, so
Probably
ROCCAT.
that they want the Kalista for themselves, which means ROCCAT now have to ban the Kalista, which means G2 at that point will look elsewhere. Gragas has been very high priority this series, and just in general has been a high priority pick.
Right. Might be a good takeaway from PrideStalker, who played it 2 games. Excellent at setting up some of those fights, but instead G2 might be opting towards a little bit more conventional stuff for them. Jace was left open. I'm not going to talk too much on the hovers, but expect us having some fun. And he locks in the Jarvan once more.
So we know it can be a flex up to the top side. Mostly expecting this to be Tricks in the jungle. Worked well in the last game for them, had good engage potential. Where does that leave us now? We've got to look towards AD carries. Tristana, if ROCCAT want to take it away. The Janna, another high-profile pick to deny that engage that we saw.
Oh, but looks like as the timer ticks down, they're toying with the idea of the Karma. No, they do lock that Tristana. They could still fill it out with the support. Might see them picking something else, though, if they want to pick an early jungle choice.
So take away from Sven. We now get to see where Sven will go with his champion pool after this. He's played a ton of champions. We've seen the likes of the Xayah, we've seen the Varus prioritized by G2 quite heavily.
Timer's ticking. Ooh, okay, so ROCCAT decided maybe we don't want to go the Kayn route. Didn't work for us the one time we did try it, but PrideStalker goes back to an old favorite, and he's looking to unleash the Hound.
And Warwick's a good pick for PrideStalker. He's been able to get into the lanes early, had that kind of hybrid of a carry and tank potential that comes through from a Warwick. You can get a lot of damage down, but if you fall behind, you do struggle with the Warwick, and seems to be less of a disengage focus out of ROCCAT, at least so far, not prioritizing the Janna. I want to see where they go with the rest of their draft.
Yeah, if they do try to keep themselves up in the early game, that has been where they have found their levels of success, so maybe that plays into the plan. For G2's side, they decide to go back on the utility pick. For Sven, it is a Varus locked in.
I wonder whether we'll see an Orianna come out in this rotation from ROCCAT. That is, unless they want to look at the support like Janna to come through. Braum is another option. The reason I would say Orianna here is if you've already got some sense of engage potential with Warwick, you can then take the safe mid laner, you can then ban out any other responses, but the Janna I think is the safer one overall. Very strong. We've seen it have impact here in this series. We saw it in Challenger Series. We've seen it all the way through 7-15 and 7-14, and it doesn't look like there's going to be an end in sight for the Janna emphasis in the bottom lane.
Absolutely not. So with that locked in, it is over in to ban phase 2. ROCCAT, they're going to have the first as they take their time down to the 5-second mark. It is Lulu that gets removed from the board, so they target Nifty's champion pool as it's back over to G2 eSports.
I selfishly don't want G2 to ban the Nasus because I want to see the full AP Nasus that Betsy played in solo queue a bunch a couple of weeks back in preparation for 7-15. Of course, buffs to Nasus makes him a viable champion, which is the reason I'm even talking about it.
G2 respected in one of those games, but this time there is still a chance for ROCCAT to take that lock, and of course, this would be their last game against G2 in this split. If they go out with that, it's one hell of a bang, that's for sure. Now, timer's still ticking down for ROCCAT to ban their last.
Lulu was banned in the last game. One of the reasons, again, another Ardent Sensei user. Decent slow, plus you've got the ultimate that comes through.
Right.
A matchup that can at least output damage in the laning phase as well, push potential into that Janna.
So ROCCAT ban away the Lucian to follow things up, and G2 keep it similar. Jace, LeBlanc, both off the board. It's back over to ROCCAT.
Syndra is there for ROCCAT if they want it. The Orianna is as well. I would be more expecting ROCCAT to go Syndra, G2 to go Orianna from here. They're going to try it again.
Okay. This time I want to see PrideStalker heading up to the top. Faxi is a very confident man. I will give him that.
This time, the audience are not quite as excited about the Aurelia lock-in. Like, they saw the last game and they're like, oh, fool me once. Shame on me.
This is like when you get into game and you're like, don't worry guys, I'm an Aurelia main. And then they're like, wait a minute, there's a Never mind. I'll go back to this in a minute because
that could be support cannon.
I think that is support cannon.
We have seen that. If this Talia gets locked in, that's exactly what the support cannon would be.
Okay.
So we have seen support cannon rearing its head over in LCK quite a bit. You have good lane focus, and alongside of Varus, you have good poke, you have good damage, you have good crowd control. So that's a very interesting setup that we'll talk about in-game.
It's all on to see what ROCCAT get their last lock-in. Need themselves a little extra tankiness. Why not? Go ahead and take that Galio.
Yeah, it can assist either the Aurelia on the side lane or the Tristana in fights. Really quite surprised at how underwhelmed the crowd were.
Yeah. Well, so what I was going to say with the Aurelia, it's kind of like when you get into game and the guy picks something you're like not 100% sure about, and then you look at his OPGG and he's like 1 in 50 with it. A little feels bad, man. It does. So I'm not saying Faxi's that bad at Aurelia, by the way.
No, I want to see him play the matchup differently. So ROCCAT going for a similar setup to the last game using that split push threat. You've got the TP on the Galio, allows you to control the third lane a little better. Plus the Grand Entrance allows you to get over to the middle lane, be able to protect that AD carry if you need it. G2 on the other side, winning bot lane matchup, pushing mid lane matchup, losing-ish top lane matchup. It's not that hard to win, apparently, for Expect. So Trick is likely to stay topside because Perks, Sven, and Mithy should be okay.
Game plan for G2 set. They need to win this one to have any chance of possibly contesting for that first seed. ROCCAT still can play spoiler here, as they're sitting pretty in the 4th place spot, having some fun, but it's all serious faces on the side of G2 eSports. Will ROCCAT be able to commit regicide once again? They earn their nickname as Kingslayers, and they have one more chance to prove that true as we load up onto Summoner's Rift for the 3rd time today. What a match to open up Week 10 of the European LCS. And it's going to be a big finish.
G2 wanting to close in on that 1st place spot. A difficult road ahead of them, but if they can do the same as the last game and then have a little bit of fortune, it is still possible. So we get into this matchup, we say Expect. In a tough matchup again, Aurelia can do very well into Mininar, but we saw Faxi misplay the matchup. Vedius broke it down on the analyst desk, a few of the micro plays that Faxi playing very risky with, and got punished hard for it. Now, if Trick goes topside again, that's again the opening that G2 can build from.
You hit that right on the nose. It was the jungle focus that really enabled him. Now, he did play it out very well compared to what Foxy was dishing, but maybe things are different this time around. Sven and Mithy charging into the jungle, forcing Yarnan and Wadid to back away. And now they know, at least for the time being, there is no dog here. Perks even wanted to get involved in the action, trying to make a level 1 play. Instead, they'll just settle for vision.
I'm interested to see how this Kennen support works. So one of the things Kennen support has in its favor is a decent laning phase. You have a decent amount of AP, AD that comes through. Mithy is running predominantly AP plus a mix of defensive stats and then magic penetration. I've seen a few different builds where you also take some additional AD in your masteries. It allows you to contest buffs early on quite well, like this that we see, because Mithy is actually a damage threat early on. And in lane, between a Varus and a Kennen, if you step close enough that the trading comes out, G2 can take control of the bottom lane. But for now, Trick is trying to take control of the jungle.
Perks runs face first into the Winds of War from Betsy. He's able to return a few auto attacks. Got to be careful there with the damage dishing out. And you can see the junglers eyeballing each other right now. Trick wants to steal this one away from Pridestalker. If they can set the ROCCAT jungler far behind, there is a smite fight, but looks like Pridestalker gets the better of it. Now he's got level 2. Trick could be in trouble. Mithy incoming. Throws a Shuriken. That's going to be enough to back him off. And I feel like that play from Trick backfired.
Oh, Pridestalker spamming laugh throughout his own jungle, even when Trick can't. There was a ward there, so he's just, in case Trick was still looking. Now Trick slower on the early clear. Has his flash, he'll be able to get the red. It means he will be a little lower, a little bit slower as well. So if Pridestalker can get topside along with Faxi to try and get that lane working for them, we might have the opposite of the last game. And if they can get a kill onto the Aurelia, Expect will struggle to get into the game himself.
Yeah. We've seen what happens when Expect is able to get ahead, is able to play well in lane. but he may not get nearly as much help this time around because Trick is going to be set far behind. As you said, Foxy might have some breathing room. It's level 3-on-3 though. Up in the top, we'll check back in as that one unfolds because meanwhile, Ven and Mithy are actually keeping Yarnan and Madrid locked up under this tower.
Yeah, this is another strength of the Kennen support. Look at how much damage has already been done to that tower. You basically push up, you're holding the electrified shuriken just in... Why did I say shuriken? Shuriken just in case you ever get the opportunity to trade and get the stun and damage down quickly. But you just auto the tower for a whole long time. You push, you ward up, you make sure you don't get caught out. And from there, you're able to take a tower early. You've got team fight presence that comes from it as well. Because, of course, Kennen can just pop his ultimate, lock down multiple people.
And he's going to have more AP than what we see with the top lane Kennen as well, so he can dish a bit more damage in those fights to some extent.
Unless you watched that one game where Vitality played top lane Kennen and tried it AP.
We pretend that one didn't happen.
You'll have a little more AP, but you also don't have the AD at that point. But what you do is you'll end up having the Spell Thief's line quest completed, so you just put some damage down and rush towards people with Lightning Surge, pop the ult, lock them down, easily.
Speaking of lockdown, Perks is having a little trouble trading out against Betsy here on this Galio. Throws a few more rocks. Doesn't really matter when you're made out of stone.
And Perks is basically trading his health and mana in order to push mid lane. And this mid lane matchup has looked less influential, but the last game was so important for Perks. Dominated the lane. Like, Betsy didn't have the opportunity to get into that matchup. And remember, Betsy was playing Syndra into the Orianna. 0-5-0 on Syndra. Couldn't really keep up with Perks in anything other than farm, which is a far cry from game one of this series. So it is important for ROCCAT to kind of invest some around Betsy. The problem is he's on Galio. If you invest anything in the Galio, all that does is kind of assist everybody else. Probably more beneficial to invest in the Aurelia or the Tristana.
Ooh, well, Betsy forces the cleanse out of Perks. Actually, nice play there. But now Trick is coming, and Betsy's a little low. Might have to pop his flash. He is going to run smack dab in Pride Stalker. So they know that they are safe for the time being. Betsy feeling bold enough to actually go back in.
Look at the movement
They're going to find Trick here. Oh, insta flash out of Perks. Turns his attention over to Trick. Does not find any extra damage. So really bold move by ROCCAT in the mid lane, and they get a summoner out of it.
Yeah, Pride Stalker was looking to use the movement speed of Warwick to get into the lane, try and get you know, that crowd control down so he can jump onto Perks. Problem is that Pride Stalker is still quite squishy in the early game. Trick forced to flash. G2, everybody flashing in the middle lane.
Yeah, it's a little bit strange. There's so many summoners being popped like that now. Everyone's occupied in the mid. Of course, up top, things have continued to actually go well for Foxy. As he looks to trade it on the Mega Gnar, he's able to dash away.
But as soon as the Mega Gnar is actually transformed in the lane, Foxy goes, okay, I don't want to trade for now. I'll wait until it's about to time out, so that some of your cooldowns you can't quite utilize. And then back to Mini Gnar, and we go back into that dance of a lane matchup that in Mini Gnar, Foxy can play out carefully and can actually look to win. Oh, ROCCAT on the bottom.
He's stunned. Oh, they got the damage. He's going to have to hop. Oh, cleanse utilized. I hadn't actually talked about that one, and first blood comes in as Pride Stalker finds Trick out in the river.
Foxy was able to roam down, didn't get involved in the kill, but Trick looked to be pushing through to the opposite side of the map, trying to open up some objective control up on the top side, because look, G2 are preparing for a swap. Oh, Janna shield.
That is...
Who said it was uncensored that made Janna OP?
They looked to chase through a little bit harder, but it looks like it was going to be a flash for a dash. Mithy not able to find the kill onto that one, but G2's bottom lane has honestly run train on ROCCAT's this game so far.
Yeah, that massive CS difference that you're seeing, 66 CS to 35.
And the Varus hasn't backed yet.
And it's, as you said, because this is a difficult lane to deal with, you either try and take a trade against the Kennen and you lose because you have worse trading in the lane when your shield isn't there, or you don't trade against the Kennen. The Varus helps Kennen push up to the tower. You have no engage potential from a Janna and a Tristana, and when your jungler is being forced to come to the middle lane because Perks and Trick are basically setting up a campsite in mid around Betsy, then suddenly you just get the tower.
Looks like they might get more than that right now. Foxy gets pushed back into the line as Minions throws the Transcendent Blades, and now Mini Gnar is coming out. Mithy joining the party. A couple of Yordles chasing him back and away. It's forced to flash, and now The pressure is on up in the top lane.
And here's where the top lane starts to not matter anymore. Because of G2's incredibly fast push on the bottom tower, now they swap up to the top side and say, okay, Expect, we'll come and help you push this down. Varus, Ken, and Nah push towers quickly. They're able to now take Faxi out of the game for a while. There is nowhere for him to farm. Look, top side, he has to wait patiently for this wave. Bot side, his lane, his duo lane are pushing out to try and get damage down on the tower as well. And Faxi's just going to sit here for a bit. Can't do too much because, look, oh, even Trick comes up to the top side. Faxi's no flash. So if Faxi stays around, Cataclysm's coming out, and Faxi's going to die.
Faxi has just not been able to catch a break from this series on this Aurelia once again.
Roaming.
Perks is coming on up. No, he actually decides to head back towards the mid. Yarnan does manage to finish off this turret, but there are still 4 members of G2 eSports with a few minions still left to push, and they should be able to actually finish this one off. Not a whole lot of response that ROCCAT can give here.
Faxi can't stay too close
coming,
here.
But this is going to go, and Faxi, yeah, he just gets caught up, tries to turn it around, but the Cataclysm is on. Trick, he gets caught up in that pit and gives his life, but Faxi falls down. Betsy coming in a little bit too late, trying for the shield of Duran. No, he gets a knock-in onto Mithy. Pridestalker tagging his way in, but he can't find an opening. And now he might be the one going down. Expect forward, and he's able to get a kill. Hyper proc coming in.
This is so good for G2 early on. They picked up kills, once again neutralized some of what Faxi has aimed to do here. And they've got the map advantage for themselves. 3 towers to now 2 in favor of G2. And the next focus is likely to go towards that mid lane tower where Betsy, the Gallia, will have some sense of wave clear, but it's not going to be enough. So this is how the engage goes. Faxi steps too far forward, ends up getting engaged upon, but the problem is Trick locked under the tower for long enough is enough for Faxi to be able to pick up a kill there. In came Betsy, tries to get the taunt off. Good amount of damage comes through, but it's 4 versus 2. And that's never really going in the way of ROCCAT overall. Luckily, the bot lane with the shield on the Tristana, plus the Tristana amount of damage that comes through from her E, is able to take down the tower in response, but still G2 lead.
Still the gold in their favor. A lot of it off the farm differential because it's 2-3 in towers, and of course 2-2 in kills. Yarnan did definitely trying to secure up some of this vision. They do manage to get themselves a Stellar Crab, but Mithy throws down Control Ward to be able to spot out the last of a couple of towers, and it's just going to be ward wars for a moment. Sven back on the bottom side to look and push things out. And meanwhile, Faxi is alone in the top, so he'll get a little bit of breathing room to try and farm things out. But G2 eSports definitely the ones controlling the tempo of this game.
Yeah, they have been, and that's to be expected with this Varus Cannon combination. Fast push now into having ultimates available makes it treacherous for anybody on ROCCAT to be stepping too far forward. Basically, if the Chains of Corruption land, Mithy is just going to hit E, maybe even flash in and just get the ult going.
Yeah, and this kind of calls back to what you were saying in the pick and ban. There's just so many CC options on the side of G2, and the team fight is there. It's ridiculous once again between Mithy, between Sven. Perks has got a little bit. Of course, Trick's got the Cataclysm. There's so many ways to stop ROCCAT from actually doing anything for most of this fight.
And this is a difficulty because ROCCAT are playing a difficult disengage style, trying to get that same thing to work for them where you kite and work around the Tristana. Without a Gragas, you've only got the Monsoon to push people away from the fight, and now you just mentioned all of that crowd control, all of that engage from G2. Monsoon isn't going to stop all of it at once.
Certainly not. However, Faxi's definitely having a little bit better of a game despite the fact that G2 put a lot of pressure up there in the top. He gets himself a kill early on. He does have the Phage. I feel like he'll complete his Trinity Force a little faster this game.
Yeah, he absolutely will. Of course, he's in a better spot.
A low bar to set.
The difficulty is, though, so Phage is going to allow you to survive the matchup a little bit better. It'll allow you to soak up a little more damage. The difficulty is you're not going to win the trades when you trade into a minion line like that ever. Even if you had a Sheen, it wouldn't work that way because, yes, you'd get that upfront damage, but so much of what makes Nah a difficult laner to play against is that you trade on him, and then on your way out of the trade, he just autos you. Gets a hyper proc, suddenly you lose your health, and it's the back end of the trade that makes Nah devastating to play against for melee champions. He just survives through whatever you throw at him, and then punishes you a lot from that ranged position.
Yeah, it's definitely difficult for ROCCAT to try and fight it out against this team. And G2, obviously, it was a disappointing start to the series for them. You know, still a far cry from being able to lock in that #1 seed because it depends not only on this victory, but also quite a lot more, including Fnatic losing to NIP later in the day. But at the very least, they seem to have found their footing. And It does seem to be such a typical G2 thing. Lose the first game and then crush the series.
Yep, that seems to be the case. Now, we have to look at the way ROCCAT can win with this. You waiting for that Trinity Force. I'm interested to see where Faxi goes after Trinity Force in this game. We've seen some people in solo queue going the Titanic Hydra route. We've seen other people that have tried building a weird mix of like lethality with Duskblade and that in solo queue. We don't see a lot of Irelia in competitive play because it has been basically a versus Nah matchup, and very few games on record, very few successes. Vizicachi, the only other European player, I believe, to have played it here, and it was a loss up against the Nah. Tough matchup to make work, even though it's supposed to be favored.
Yeah. Well, sometimes the matchup just isn't always exactly what they needed. They need to play sometimes more for the team. Now, Faxi, he really has had a rough series.
He has.
In all honesty, so, you know, I definitely question that a little bit, but in one sense, this is also practice time for ROCCAT, right?
It is, and the matchup itself, remember, is only 1/5 of the total matchups in this game. So even if it is going away, if everything else is not going well for ROCCAT, then it's not normally enough to build around. But this game is a different factor. Faxi isn't camped, or hasn't been camped. He got pushed away from the tower, and that was about it. So he is working his way back into this game.
I do have some serious hope, though, for ROCCAT fans here, Stress.
Okay.
One of the critical win conditions has been fulfilled. We got an Ardent Sensor.
We did get an Ardent Sensor. Woodid has it. I guess Woodid has an Ardent... Yeah, okay, that was a terrible joke. But look, ROCCAT will be able to...
Shame.
Somebody likes
Shame.
terrible jokes
Shame.
in the audience. It's great. I've been waiting. I'm not going to get to do it because... Unluckily, there aren't many Fox champions outside of Ari. I'm waiting for... I can do a what did the Fox say, but it's... Like, it won't
Yeah, we had
work.
a mid laner named Fox, and we did that a bunch.
There's some groans, there's some claps. I'll take that, that's fine. Exactly, if SK were here and Fox was in the league, that'd be great.
Let me offer you a little bit of advice. Don't quit your day job.
That's good advice. I mean...
Fortunately, it's also talking, so that works. Okay, 15 minutes into this game, we're checking back in. G2 still holding this lead. And now the theater where Foxy has been trying to make things happen is shifted from top to bottom. But it feels like they're just running out of room here. This Rift Herald's been popped on the mid. ROCCAT, I feel like they really need to find a big fight, but it's hard to flank when all the vision is G2's favor.
G2 using this Rift Herald now, plus the Tilia wall. That's how it's gone!
Oh, and so is Brightsucker. Wait a minute, no! He's able to get away and taunted in his trick as he tried to get the finishing blow. But did, though, is caught out. The Galio's coming just in time for a heroic entrance. The tower finishes that Perks, and this just might be the start of the turnaround.
ROCCAT, okay, they lose the tower. They do lose health. They don't actually lose any members of the team there. They get 2 kills, and Faxi was on the bottom side getting some farm. It's still an overall gold gain for G2 when you look at how they got it. But look, ROCCAT are now in the lead. Faxi got the farm on the bottom side. G2, yes, they got the tower. That is probably the big objective to come from this. But G2 not expecting Pridestalker to get away with his life here. I want to see exactly how it happens. I believe... So the wall comes across. He holds his flash. I think he tries to ult away at that point. Yeah, tries to ult, flashes instantly on Trick before the damage applies from Cataclysm. Mithy can't catch up on him. Wadid was protected by Betsy's ultimate that comes through, and then Hyanan and Betsy managed to push away the rest of G2. A little bit of a backfire from G2 there.
Yeah, sometimes you push a little too hard, and that now buys a little bit of time for ROCCAT. They find themselves actually ahead on the gold game despite being down in towers. And yeah, Pridestalker's entire job was to soak damage in that fight.
The audience are murmuring at how ROCCAT basically managed to get 2 kills with like 1/3 of the damage. That's the best 0 damage team fight Faxi's ever going to be involved in. He's like, I didn't need to be there, we still won.
This is why we have damage rating, because it accounts for when you are in range to actually do damage. If you're not, then your damage rating is unaffected.
Unfortunately, Irelia wouldn't be a champion that we'd have an accurate damage rating for.
Yeah, as you said, not a whole lot of plays.
Our stats wizards have a lot of metrics that go into our damage rating that requires a certain number of games to have been played on a champion around the major regions, but ROCCAT don't care about damage rating, Pyra. They care about the fight.
They're getting frisky, and they caught Trick. The chains came down on Pridestalker, but that dog was off the leash.
Oh, it looks like start of game 1 and the turnaround that happened where G2 G2 looked like they picked up a fight, but over and indexed on one exchange, and now ROCCAT are turning back around.
A little over-aggression. It can go a long way for the other team to start turning things. Now 10 seconds on this Infernal Dragon.
He's got the Trinity
Foxy
Force.
with the Trinity Force.
In.
Going on to Expect. Transcendent blades are flying. He dashes in for the Blade Surge, and Expect is trying to cut away. Flash followed. Expect is able to hop away. But he definitely doesn't take the better end of that trade and opens up Infernal Dragon for ROCCAT.
Foxy didn't have enough to dash to keep it up and couldn't get through the exchange. You can see how he wins those trades the later the game goes on. When Minina doesn't have the ability to trade the damage as effectively, and you get Trinity Force proc after Trinity Force proc, Foxy is going to get stronger in this matchup, and if Expect doesn't correctly read where and when Foxy will trade on him, it's very difficult to survive in this when it's in Foxy's favor. The way you stop it is much like the last game. You deny Irelia ever getting into the matchup. Now we got to play on a footing where Foxy might just have the advantage.
Yeah, starting to see G2 making some of these mistakes, getting punished by ROCCAT. That's worrying heading into the playoffs. But of course, ROCCAT are always a bit of an anomaly. They are the one team that consistently makes life hard for the top teams here in Europe.
And it feels like Trick is maybe susceptible to ROCCAT's, not baits, but atmosphere the most. Like, this hasn't been a great series for Trick in game 1 and 3.
And we were giving him credit coming into this series because he did seem to have kind of, along with the rest of the team, really leveled up, evolved his own playstyle. But now we're seeing the old tendencies that sometimes emerge with him just going a little too aggressive. Speaking of aggressive, Expect is on top of Foxy, who turns around. The teleport is coming in for Betsy, and Perks is already here. We might see the 2v2, but it looks like it'll be disengaged.
Yeah, so a couple of things happen in that trade that once again highlight how this matchup goes. Foxy lets Expect trade 2 autos at least on him, so that when Foxy jumps on Expect, he actually gets the stun. That's the important part that allows him to cycle through more of his damage. We're even
counterintuitive. You want to take damage as Aurelia sometimes.
Just up front, so you get that stun, then you can stick on them. The problem is in the long lane, Nas still can get away. The reason Betsy had to TP, Perks was roaming down. They used the Weaver's Wall in exchange for the TP. That now means Betsy has the advantage with the ultimate still there. And G2, they're going to be struggling for these team fights. We mentioned how much crowd control they have. Trick is 0-4. He has tried to get the engages to happen, and they have backfired a few times already. If he starts slowing down on his readiness to engage and doesn't get successful engages at the same time and they backfire, G2 are in quite a lot of trouble.
Yeah. Putting all your eggs in the CC basket, sometimes you don't have quite enough damage, and this is where we can see the plan start to come apart as they get the suppression on, and Trick is deleted off the map. Pridestalker howling with happiness right now. Betsy taking up the front as Mithy wants to go in and try to get at least one revenge kill. The Winds of War are there. And they're going to be moving right back forward. Another teleport. Heroic entrance coming in. Expect is isolated from the team. Justice punch away. ROCCAT are trying for the disengage now. Expect with a nearly full Narbar. Fancies his chances, but he gets knocked back from the buster shot of Yarnin. And ROCCAT staying alive.
Mithy playing with a little bit of fire here. Yes, G2 were around, but the rest of ROCCAT were there and nearly turned it back in their favor. But G2 had to commit to that because they lost Trick from ROCCAT getting the catch. They did not want to let Baron go down. We are past the 20-minute mark. It would be just like game 1 if ROCCAT could secure that Baron. And I am having deja vu from the spring split, Pyra.
I think G2 are going to have that one right now as well. ROCCAT in the lead.
Wow, I actually was about to say ROCCAT in the lead. I mean, it's obvious. Foxy wants to go for the trade.
We're on the same page, and I think ROCCAT are all on the same page as well. Looking for Perks, not able to find him, but Foxy is playing with a whole lot more confidence than he has been the rest of this series.
G2 have set themselves up a little more cautiously around the Baron, though. You can see double control ward plus wards all the way through the top side. Even a third control ward now down through the river is allowing G2 to see any attempt at that Baron from ROCCAT. Foxy's on the bottom lane with no teleport. G2 are just going to start it. They're going to start because there is no way for ROCCAT actually to commit to this. ROCCAT have just lost this Baron. It's the reverse almost of game 1. This is just good read from G2.
It is game 1, then it's reverse. Yeah, well, I mean, this is done. I get what you're saying. This is actually fantastic that they've now managed to find this in a blind spot for ROCCAT. So the Baron comes in. that will definitely help them out to try and keep these waves pushed in their favor, and ROCCAT kind of caught with their pants down there.
Yeah, at that point, ROCCAT just not having a teleport available and showing on the bottom side is a near unforgivable mistake, because you know they're going to do Baron. You don't have vision over that area. You know they're going to be there. You can't get there in time. Now ROCCAT have to play up against it. G2, to some extent, can avoid engages and just push using this Baron buff, try and get that mid lane tower. ROCCAT looks like they're going to commit some resources to the top tower to try and get it in response, and just try and keep any gold gain from G2 neutralized by taking their own objectives in response.
Yeah. They do have Yarnan's Tristana to be able to shred through towers quite effectively. He's joined up by Wadid. A couple of rapid-fire shots is going to be all he needs to get tower number 4. But meanwhile, Sven and Mithy already hard at work with the Baron buff on the bottom. Expect getting dashed into. Has to hop his way over into the chicken pit.
Chicken pit. Faxi is looking for the Blade of the Ruined King as a potential second item coming through here. That, of course, gives him a little bit of extra sticking power. And just the ability to trade against a high health target. But G2, they're the ones that push on the side lane. They're just trying to push using this Baron buff. Look, Hyanan had been in the top lane and had showed, so ROCCAT might need to commit something here to try and start this fight. But
there's the wall.
They don't really want to go in blind.
No, but they're going to be able to find one target. Just like that, they take down Sven. It's Pridestalker that gets it. Mithy's trying to disrupt with his ultimate, but it's not going to be enough. Betsy finding another. No, it's Yarnan that gets the finishing blow. G2 overcommitting once again, and they get turned back around.
Oh, but expect crosses over to the middle lane, knowing he can drag some members of ROCCAT in response. So G2 crack the bottom lane inhibitor tower, now turn towards the Ocean Drake. They have still advanced their lead, but Sven and Mithy getting caught out basically removes any emphasis of this Baron buff for the next minute and 20 seconds. Expect we'll be able to push out topside, but when it comes to actually fully formed pushes, G2 are unlikely to get another opportunity after this. They use the Talia wall to try and deny any kind of engage. A Janna shield may have just been enough to hold G2 for a moment or two longer. The Galio ultimate comes through, damage reduction comes out, and Sven was dead before this fight really even started. Expect you just saw him peek into vision at the top side of your screen. He had been pushing mid lane, had to retreat back, couldn't get into the fight. G2, it's another time where they just overstep a little bit and get punished for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of going to show, right? Like, it doesn't matter how big you build the wall, you're never going to get the other team to pay for it. That was not enough.
G2 definitely paid for that on that attempt at a wall. And ROCCAT have been good at actually denying anything G2 wants to put into action when it comes to these fights. And so much of that is the fact that Pridestalker has just been ready to go, okay, I'm just going to ult this person. We talked about the Warwick being a comfort champion for him. You can see he's got the Titanic Hydra, the Cinder Hulk. He's tanky enough in his mind to just jump in with some of the damage reduction he'll get as well. And then all of a sudden, Sven ends up dying.
Yeah.
Yes, he's got a mortal reminder to try and neutralize some of the health that's coming back on ROCCAT's side, but it's not enough.
I mean, he's reminded that he's mortal a couple of times this game, but the damage that Yarnan can do to follow things up.
It's okay. The same guy clapped you. It was fine.
This person has a very, very good sense of humor. I like them.
Sorry, you were saying.
I was saying, they can lock people down. We talked about CC on the G2 side, but ROCCAT have a lot of it as well. You've got Pridestalker's ult, you've got Betsy shielded Durand, you've got Faxi could stun one target if he chooses it right. And then Yarnan's damage is just going to keep coming. Like, I feel like we've understated him a little bit in this game because he's a 3-item Tristana. He's now in don't get anywhere near me, I will kill you territory.
Yeah. It's as simple, the team fight for ROCCAT is as simple as get the shield of Durand to lock, you'll be hungry like the wolf with Pridestalker, and Hyanan, that's not part of any song title, so I've not got anything on that one.
That would be a really crazy coincidence.
Yeah, somebody would have been psychic at that point.
All right. What a way to go. Now, ROCCAT, they are marching down the mid. They're keeping Faxi at home on the top. Remember, there is no inhibitor tower here. I feel like this game, it slows down for just a few minutes. It's going to heat back up as soon as that Baron becomes an option once again. That's still some time away.
Right, ROCCAT have now taken control of the jungle around the Baron area. There are a few wards still left. A control ward behind ROCCAT that has been there since that initial Baron play. So that little bit of skipped steps out of ROCCAT themselves. Haven't been able to deny all of the vision.
And we've seen that little mistakes have had big consequences in this series from both teams, in all honesty. And it's insane how close this actually is. 27.5 minutes. I mean, we're dead on even gold. I feel like I've said that a bunch this series because it's consistently true.
You need synonyms then for dead on even, bang evens, and old Joe Millo one.
There you go.
That's a good one. You can always use that.
How about there's nothing odd about it?
There's nothing odd about Oh, that's a terrible one.
I know, I shouldn't quit my day job either. Trick,
Oh!
PrideStalker jumps on him, the infinite suppress. Now he's fleeing away. Yarden with the buster shot, but it looks like PrideStalker might go down as well. No, Betsy comes in for the defense. Justice punch, and he is out of there. A quick pick, hit and run for ROCCAT.
And now, Gnar on the bottom side pushing up is going to be the only real thing that G2 can try and use. There's a minute still until Baron, so that pick doesn't actually impact G2 in the way that they lose the Baron from it. But Expect has to be careful. He's got some vision control. You can see the wards through the jungle. Will spot every one of the paths that the enemy will come through. But ROCCAT finding a pick will slow G2 down. 0-6 for Trick.
Yeah, that's a little unfortunate for him in this game. Perks, though, he's trying to make up for lost time here on Betsy. He's throwing some rocks. Once again, in comes the rest of G2. Betsy caught him, but now it's ROCCAT that tag their way in. Meganar, everyone's flashing away, and now it's Faxi looking to hunt down Mithy, but they're going to be pushed back for the time being. Betsy going in for the Justice, but PrideStalker follows in and takes a bite out of Mithy.
The last play didn't hurt them on Baron, but that one certainly will. G2 almost looked like they started that fight. It looked like G2 were wanting to go aggressive, not respecting the teleport that can come from Faxi to even up the numbers. 10 seconds just under for this Baron, and if they can get a pick in mid lane, that would even crush through what G2 would have left anyway.
ROCCAT has taken advantage of these mistakes, and they're pushing in now on this Baron. There's teleport for Betsy back in the phase. Faxi's holding the line. They want this fight. The wall comes in. Woody is isolated from the other side. PrideStalker, he just hops right over it, and down goes Perks. Teleport coming in, right behind for the flank. Meganar, I don't think it's going to get there in time. Looks like they don't even need this Baron stress. They're just going to push in. Double kill for Yarden onto Trick. He's looking for that triple. He's got a flash. He doesn't take it.
It's happening again. Pyra ROCCAT, they are going to beat G2 at this rate for the second time this season in the last week of the regular split. I don't know what is in the water right now, but ROCCAT, Kingslayers is absolutely true.
Not once, not twice. These guys just keep on doing it. They get themselves the Baron. Oh my goodness, in this third game, in 30 minutes, they are looking like they're gonna shut the door on G2's hopes of a first seed.
So Perks, Expect, and Trick know they have to try and close in, but Sven gets cut off. He has to move out around the fight. Never does he get in because he can't commit to it. He cannot commit to a fight that G2 have already lost, and that means G2 just concede the Baron from it. Trick again caught out. This Jarvan was the first pick in this game and has not had the effect that G2 wanted it to. PrideStalker has found Trick multiple times with his ultimate, locked him down, earned objectives off it, and ROCCAT, again, a second game in this series, are earning a convincing victory over three-time champions G2 eSports.
And for G2, this has to be nightmare scenario. They locked themselves out of that first seed, and well, they're still playoff bound. They have still been looking good since Rift Rivals. We don't want to make too much of it, but ROCCAT are doing it, Stress. I cannot believe it.
What if, Pyra, what if, like, ROCCAT, what if they were in playoffs? They can have performances like this against G2.
What if they beat NIP? I don't understand anymore.
Like, this is going to be devastating, mentally-wise, to win this game. Like,
this is going to be where it goes right now. They're going to knock everybody away. Mithy just can't get in with the ult. They're going to clean house. Down goes Mithy's Sven. Expect Perks all bleeding out right now as they run away from this fight. Inhibitor falls. Yarden, he's hopping and looking to take down number 2 as they just keep on opening the doors, busting down G2's base. And they're looking to end this one.
ROCCAT with perhaps the gift to Fnatic and a big win for themselves. ROCCAT at the end of the split gonna earn another victory over G2.
And that is going to be it. That is the final fight. Down goes the last Nexus turn, and ROCCAT recognize no royalty. They bow to no one.
Oh my goodness, Pyra.
You can never count these guys out. truly the dark horses of the European LCS, and you know what? It's a damn shame we don't get to see them in playoffs.
So unfortunate for ROCCAT. 2 splits in a row. Amazing performances like this. Wins over back-to-back champions. ROCCAT have shown us they can have these performances. They beat Fnatic earlier in the split. They had a close series with Fnatic in the middle of the split. They beat G2 now.
And they lost to the sub-squad, by the way. I don't understand this
How does
team.
it happen? Congratulations for today's victory, ROCCAT. Great win.
Yeah, honestly, you just got to be lost for words when the way this team plays up against the top teams. GG.
Yeah, absolutely GG. I'm at a loss for words. If this ROCCAT showed up every time they hit the stage, I don't even know. They beat all of the top teams when it comes to it in moments and through good, clean play as well. Like, early game advantages, maybe not so much in this game, but look, Hyanan and Wadid didn't die this game against Sven and Mithy. They find the catches around Pridestalker. They showed us growth throughout the split. And this ROCCAT is such a perplexing team to try and predict.
Well, you know, it's kind of like they say, they're the ones setting the rules. I feel like it's really hard to play by ROCCAT's game. And, you know, they did it once again on their second to last game of the regular split, when it doesn't matter for playoffs. ROCCAT just say, we'll take you down, G2, no problem.
It was good to watch. It was fun to watch. The first game was great. The second game, they went back and said, okay, it wasn't the Aurelia matchup that messed us up. We can go back, we can play it a different way. Expect couldn't quite contend with it, and they found Trick every opportunity. 0-7-3.
Hey, oh, Pridestalker though, man.
Yeah,
this
exactly.
series, it just emphasizes how much growth we've seen out of this guy. Young player, was known as a Rengar prodigy when he was very, very young, but he comes up huge in this series. Even the game they lost, he was still setting up solid fights for the team, and we've seen some diversity in his picks, playing this Gragas tank, and then just coming out with the comfort Warwick and deleting people.
Looking very strong for Pridestalker. We started the Challenger split all the way in spring saying, hey, Pridestalker wasn't looking so great, didn't seem to know how to read the map. And that was months ago. That was a long time ago. But now you look at the growth, out-jungling Trick, catching him multiple times. Like, he and the rest of ROCCAT looked superb in games 1 and 3 of this series.
Absolutely. Now, ROCCAT lived up to their names as Kingslayers as they took down G2 in a huge upset. Here are Shox and Vedius to wrap up the series.
Thank you very much, Pyra. They do it again. God damn it, ROCCAT. And the way they did it, we just have to commend them for their play in Game 1 and in Game 3. There was no funny business. There was no cheese picks. There was no unexpected picks. They just played well.
Yeah, you can only but praise ROCCAT. Sure, there were a couple of mishaps in the early game, but they never gave up. They always punished, in particular, Trick. In this game, but also in this series, who, while he didn't have the strongest performance, you really have to highlight how often Pridestalker was able to land that ultimate, able to set up his team for success. And whenever things looked dire for the side of ROCCAT, it was always Pridestalker or Hyanan or someone finding that pick and finding that great play to give them windows back into the game.
You mentioned Trick. He died a total of 14 times over the 3 games. That is definitely not his best performance of the split. But aside from that, it seemed that if he wasn't really going off, the whole team of G2 didn't seem to be on the same page because they played a near perfect or a very good game in Game 2. But if it didn't work at all in Games 1 and 3.
No. Unfortunately for Trick, I'm not entirely sure what was wrong. Maybe it was just a bad day. People have bad weeks. Or maybe ROCCAT are just his kryptonite. You know?
Yeah.
This is not the first time that G2 have lost to ROCCAT right at the end of the regular season. And this will also lock in Fnatic for first place.
Yeah, let's take a look at the standings. Last split, if you cast your mind back, it was throwing something in the water for Fnatic to get to that first spot in the year of G2. But this time around, it's G2 locked into the second place with this loss. So anything can happen basically in the Fnatic NIP series or in the Fnatic G2 series. Fnatic will have the semifinal bye and is locked in first. In terms of conclusions, you could say, is this now worrisome for G2? The fact that they're going up against Fnatic obviously on Saturday, possibly further on in the playoffs. They have to play quarterfinal. Or is it, as you said, they had already cast their mind to the fact that they would be playing quarterfinals and it might be good practice up until then?
I think it is concerning that Trick played the way he did. We've been giving him a lot of praise for his growth throughout the regular season and the fact that he's been more active as a jungler. He seems to be communicating better and improving on what was a poor MSI performance during the group stages. Given his performance today, yes, I would be a little bit concerned. Does that mean I'm going to count G2 out? No. I still think that they are favorites right now to make it into the semifinals and to make it to Paris. But I still think that that G2 versus Splice quarterfinal will lead to an exciting series for sure.
That it will. We do have to crown a player of the series for this one before we get to the interview with ROCCAT, and that is Hjarnan. Absolutely fantastic Kalista game in game 1. His Tristana was flawless as well, and he has been a man that has been putting up the numbers for ROCCAT the entire split, if not the entire season. Verius, if I was to tell you there was a team in the LCS that in 2017 has beaten G2 in series twice, has beaten the Unicorns of Love, and has beaten Fnatic twice, and he still didn't make it to playoffs, would you believe me?
No. It's extremely bittersweet for this team who always seem to perform extremely well against the top-end teams, but struggle against the bottom-end teams, and they couldn't get enough wins during the regular season. It took them too long to get to this point, and it's too late for them now.
Well, too long. It just seems that when the pressure's off completely, it works for them, so they're gonna have to find a way to retain that in the offseason. Well, ROCCAT, they kicked off the week with a great win. Let's see what their bot lane have to say after that series.
Thank you very much, Shox. I am joined by Hjarnan and Wadid, and I have a list of questions here for Sven from G2. Everyone told me G2 were going to win, so I didn't actually prepare any questions for you. We'll get rid of that, and we'll think of some questions on the fly. Congratulations, guys, of course. What is it that makes you, as a team, the Kingslayers? Because every time you meet up against these big teams, you seem to win.
I think it's mainly like against worse teams, so to speak. We are a bit more pressure on ourselves because we feel like we have to win. And against better teams, we know like, okay, they are better than us, technically, but so we just play without pressure, I think, and that's a big thing, I guess. That's why we win a lot of games against them. And
not practicing as well, apparently. Wadid, you were saying?
Well, yeah, to be honest, yeah, because we are already out of the playoff and then out of the relegation, so we just chill and keep chill, traveling somewhere and then looking for some funny games and yeah, just chill, you know.
Well, you gave all of us a lot of fun watching that series. As a bot lane, when you guys face up against these big teams, you seem to be able to match them, like Sven and Mithy, Reckless and Jezz, you guys are their equals. What is it that makes you such a good duo?
I don't know, actually, but we are just on the same page, I think, on a lot of times, and we know both what we want to do in the lane. And yeah, I think we just match pretty good together. That's like the biggest thing, I guess.
So you're in each other's minds, you know what you're both going to do at the same time?
Kind of, yeah, you could say that.
Well, we are just crazy, so yeah.
It seems to work for both of you. I want to talk a little bit about support. As a support main myself, I do not like the current meta of supports. So, you know, Ardent Sensor Rush, you have to play Janna, you have to play all these boring supports. How do you feel about it?
Well, you saw that I go Ardent Sensor and Coin every game today, and then yeah, that's why I win, because I think Mithy is one of really good support. I still think he's more better than me, but one thing he missed today is didn't go Ardent Sensor, so that's why I think.
So build Ardent Sensor and you win the game. Speaking of Mithy as well, G2 are now into the playoffs. They go in a second spot. Do you guys have any teams that you think are going to take it all? Do you think Fnatic are too good for everyone else in Europe?
You can go.
Well, I don't know. I feels like right now, Fnatic and HTK looks really strong. So I just predict that Fnatic and HTK will win a lot.
Hjarnan?
Same.
Okay, so H2K, not the Unicorns of Love from Group B.
Well, we beat them, so.
You beat G2. You beat everyone. I don't think we can judge it.
I'm kind of joking.
Not H2K
yeah.
though.
Yeah, we're kind of joke, but I still think HTK is really good at just basic rotation, and if they don't mistake, I think it's really good. And also Fnatic know the meta, know how to use their veteran player, so I think they're really good.
Right, so final question, guys. You've got Misfits left as your final game. Are we going to see anything outlandish? Are we going to see any cheese picks? Grabs tweeted about it, saying that you guys had something prepared.
You will see a lot of shit, yeah. You will see a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and also I'm Korean, so you can imagine some Korean mechanics.
I'm looking forward to it. Thank you very much, guys. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes with Fnatic up against NIP. Make sure you tune in.